Okay, so we're going to go through this. I'm going to go quickly because I know y'all don't want to sit here and watch this video for 30 minutes. So I'm not going to make you, or I'm not going to redraw all this stuff. I'm just going to show you my notes and you can copy them in. It's whenever you get time. I'll also post my completed notes on the Google Classroom. So, polar equations and parametric equations. This is a polar equation, okay? Polar equations are generally in the form of r cosine theta, r sine theta. Now, these are still in rectangular coordinates, but we're going to be going to polar eventually, so I wanted you to get used to seeing these. But right now we're in parametric, so let's go ahead and look at this chart. It's the same thing we were doing on the first assignment, except now we've got some trig functions. So when we put 0 in for t, you get make sure you're in radians if it's in radians, okay, which this is. So we go ahead and we do this in radians. We put a 0, cosine of 0 is 0, or sorry, cosine of 0 is 1, times 5 is 5. Cosine of pi over 2 is 0, times 5 is 0. Cosine of pi is -1, times 5 is -5, and so on. And so that's where all these numbers come from in the chart. We're just plugging in these numbers in for t, just like we did on the previous one. Okay? All right. So when you do this, you're going to get these points. This one, this one, this one, and this one. Okay? So you have basically either, it looks like a plus sign, right? But you know this is continuous. So the only way to continuously connect all these guys is a circle. Okay? So the graph is a circle. All right? Its center is at the origin. Okay? And its radius, the r, is 5. Okay? So it says find the rectangular equation. Well, if we look at just like what we did before, where we were solving for the t, okay, then you do okay, and so now we divide by 5, so x over 5 is cosine t, okay? And then if you do the same thing with the other one, okay, and you divide by 5, so y over 5 equals sine t. Uh-oh, we don't really know what to do now. Okay? So it's you got to get into inverses right here. Okay? And so things get a little tricky, and we don't like that. All right? So you can use this old trig identity. You guys remember this Pythagorean identity? Okay? You can use that right there and say, oh, okay, well, sine t, which is this, and this. Okay? And what's sine t? It's y over 5. And what's cosine t? It's x over 5. Okay? So, you can square these out. Erase this. By the properties of exponents, we can distribute the square in. So you get y squared over 5 squared plus x squared over 5 squared equals 1. Okay? And so then this is y squared plus x squared, and these are 25. And so now just multiply by 25, and you end up with x squared and y squared equals 25. So, guys, here's how this works. The equation of a circle is x squared plus y squared equals r squared. Just so y'all have it, okay? Save yourself some time if you're working these, and you know that. Okay, so next one says, another example of the same thing we just did, except now we're going to deal with an ellipse. So go ahead, you put these values in, and you're going to get these values to come out when you put 0 in for t, pi over 2 in for t, pi for t. Okay, when you do all that, you're going to get these values in the table. Okay, so when you do that and you graph it, you put your points here. Okay, 5, 2, 2, 8, negative 1, 2, and 2, negative 4, and then back to 5, 2 again. So when you connect the dots, you get an ellipse. Okay? So you get an ellipse. The center of the ellipse is where those meet, which is at 2, 2. The x radius is the distance from the dot in the center to the edge of the ellipse in the x direction. So that's 1, 2, 3. And then the y radius is the distance from the center to the edge of the ellipse in the y direction. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay? So now, find the rectangular equation again. So we're going to have to solve it out for sine t and cosine t. So x equals 2 plus 3 cosine t. So now move your 2. X minus 2 equals 3 cosine t. And then divide by 3. Okay? And then y 6 sine t. Okay, so y minus 2, you move this 2, okay, equals 6 sine t, and divide by 6. And you get sine t equals y minus 2 over 6. So that's where all these come from. Okay, so now we do the same thing we did last time, where we had that sine squared sine squared plus cosine squared equals 1. Except now you have to put in sine and cosine right here. Okay? So I'm going to write cosine squared first. It doesn't matter order, but okay, so all I did was I just took this and put it right here and this right here. I flipped them. Yeah, I'll write them the other way. Okay? So when you square this, you're going to have x minus 2 squared over 3 squared, which is 9. And then here you're going to have y minus 2 squared over 6 squared, which is 36. And that's as far as you can go. Okay? So not too bad. It's really just sitting down and doing it and working your way through. Okay? So, again, here's the parametric equations of a circle or ellipse. A little bit of extra notes. You don't have to know this, but it's little tricks. H equals x equals h plus a cosine t. That's the form we just had. Y equals k plus b cosine or sine t. So the center is at hk, and if you look at the other one, the center was at 2, 2, and then we have 2, 2 right there. So that makes perfect sense, right? It works. And then it said that the graph will be a circle if a equals b. Well, does a equal b here? No. So it's not a circle, it's going to be an ellipse. Okay? And then a and b are going to be these distances right here. The distance from the center to the edge in the x direction and the center to the edge in the y direction. Okay, so parametric mode in the calculator. Don't worry about using parametric in the calculator. I don't want to go down that right now since y'all don't even have TI calculators right now. But we can go ahead and do this. Y equals 3x squared plus 5x minus 1, write a parametric equation. Well, this one's really easy if you just do y equals x, x equals t, Because if you just say x is t, then you can go in the other one and say, well, y equals 3t squared. What is it, 5x, so 5t. And now when you replace x with t, you get two different equations. It's a really easy way to do a parametric equation, okay? And then if you're just graphing from -2 to 2, you just put -2 in for both of these, and then x and y, and graph your x and y's. It's really easy, okay? All right. I think that should be it. Because we can't do the complicated calculator ones since y'all don't have TIs at home. If your calculator can do them, go ahead and do the homework problems that have. Most of y'all's calculators can do them now if you just do parametric equations. But you're going to put it in the calculator for y and x, and then you're going to graph it, and the calculator will show you these weird spirals and all these cool things, okay? So if you have a calculator, do those problems. If you don't have a calculator at home, then don't worry about the problems that want you to graph them on the calculator, okay? And that should be it for this one. It's not too bad.